Welcome to the SaaS Game. This is the third course in the Venture Capital and Entrepreneurship Specialization. SaaS is an acronym for Software as a Service. SaaS has been a very common thesis in the VC world for the past 2 decades. Almost every large VC in the world has made investments in SaaS startups, and many VCs have made outsized returns through their SaaS investments. In this course, I will discuss what SaaS is and why VCs love the SaaS game. I will also analyze the pitch decks of 3 successful SaaS startups for more insight into the SaaS game. These are real pitch decks that these startups have used to raise capital. Because we are discussing software in this course, I will need to bring up some aspects that are a bit technical, but I will only be addressing business implications of these aspects, so you will not need any background in software to follow these discussions. Let's start our discussion with 2 baseline questions. First, is SaaS mostly B2B or mostly B2C? Something is B2B or business to business if the buyer of the thing is a business entity. For example, Xerox machines. And something is B2C, business to consumer, if the buyer is a consumer. For example, Gillette's razors. So, what do you think? Is SaaS mostly a B2B phenomenon, or is SaaS mostly a B2C phenomenon? Remember your answer to this question. I will give you my answer shortly. Secondly, there are many large software consulting companies in the world like Infosys, Accenture, IBM, Tata Consultancy Services, and many others. Are these SaaS companies? These companies sell software consulting, software development services, or IT services. Are they selling software as a service? What do you think? Actually, software as a service is a truly terrible name, and it confuses many people. SaaS is the business of selling software products, not services or consulting. Yes, you heard that right. Software as a service is about selling software products and not at all about selling software services. SaaS is a business model where a buyer pays a periodic subscription for using a software product, usually an annual or monthly subscription. It is crucial to note that what is being sold in the SaaS business model is software, not other goods or services. So, Dollar Shave Club, which sells a subscription for razor blades, is not SaaS. And the New York Times, which sells a subscription for an online newspaper, is also not SaaS. But Google's Gmail, which sells a subscription for email software to businesses, is SaaS. And Dropbox, which sells a subscription for file storage software to consumers, is also SaaS. So, SaaS is a software product that is built like something that you have taken on rent, for which you pay monthly or yearly as long as you want to keep renting the product. SaaS is a business model that gained popularity in the early 2000s. The dominant business model for software products at that time was something I call the CD in a box model or the perpetual license model. Software products were then sold as CDs or as downloads where the buyer paid for the software upfront and got the right to use that software forever, much like how you would usually pay for a laptop or a car today. This is the origin of the name software as a service, a new business model where you pay for a software product on a recurring basis, like you pay for a service. Coming back to the IT service or software consulting companies like Infosys, IBM, and Accenture, these are not SaaS companies. They may have some business lines where they sell software products, but the majority of their business comes from IT services or consulting and not from software products. If this is at all surprising to you, don't worry, you are not alone. Here is an Indian media article from October 2020 that makes the same mistake. Software service and software as a service are completely different business models. In the SaaS model, a software product is billed like a service with recurring payments as if the product was being rented. Another common feature of SaaS is that the software is hosted on cloud servers and is usually not hosted on servers within a customer's premises or within a customer's own data center. This is common but not strictly necessary. Many SaaS providers do support customers who want to host the software on their own premises, but most SaaS is hosted and delivered through the cloud. Similarly, most SaaS used on laptops and workstations works through web browsers like Chrome and Safari and usually does not install any software on the operating system. Think of how you use Gmail, for example. But some SaaS does install its own desktop software, Dropbox, for example. Finally, SaaS is a label used for application software and not for computing infrastructure. Application software allows users to perform a specific personal or business function, which may be related to productivity, creativity, or communication. When a company provides computing infrastructure itself for rent, it is usually called infrastructure as a service, IaaS, or platform as a service, PaaS. Because again, in IaaS and PaaS, it is not software that is being sold, but computing infrastructure. To understand the distinction between IaaS, PaaS, and SaaS better, think of everything that a business customer must manage to use on-premises software. The customer must buy their own physical servers and storage, set up and manage networking between these servers, set up the operating systems, any middleware, the runtime, and finally the application it wants to use along with its data. The vendor only provides the application itself and nothing more in this case. In the case of infrastructure as a service, the vendor manages the physical servers, storage, and networking, and the customer only needs to set up their own operating system, middleware, and applications. Amazon Elastic Compute Cloud or Amazon EC2, Windows Azure, and Google Compute Engine are examples of IaaS. In the case of platform as a service, the vendor also manages the operating system, the middleware, and runtime, so that the customer only needs to manage their applications and data and nothing more. AWS Elastic Beanstalk is an example of PaaS along with Heroku and Google App Engine. Finally, in the case of SaaS, the vendor manages everything and provides the customer with a running application that just needs a login and configuration to get started. The customer doesn't have to worry at all about servers, operating systems, networking, etc. That's SaaS. Examples are Trello, Slack, and Zoho. Now that you understand what SaaS is and what it is not, let's look at a few real examples. When I teach this course to MBA students at IIM Bangalore, I float a pre-course survey that asks students to name 3 SaaS companies. If you are following this course on our website, relentless.ventures, you too would have filled out this survey. Here are the usual responses I get from students. Let's talk about Netflix. Is Netflix software as a service? Software is certainly central to its operations and billing is done through a subscription. But what Netflix is selling is not software. Netflix is selling movie content. So Netflix is not SaaS. The same is the case with Spotify, not SaaS. How about DoorDash and Zomato? Again, software is central to their operations, but these companies do not sell software. These are food delivery companies. How about Monster and Naukri.com? These companies also charge a subscription to their customers for posting job requirements and for access to job applicants. But again, these companies do not sell software, so not SaaS. Similarly, Amazon and Flipkart are e-commerce companies that sell a variety of goods to consumers but do not sell software. Uber sells cab rides. Airbnb and Booking.com sell homestays and hotel stays. Ticketmaster sells event tickets. And Facebook is a social network that connects people and sells ads to businesses. Software is central to the operations of these companies, but they are not selling software, so they are not SaaS. Compare them to Gmail, which sells a subscription for email software and storage, or Dropbox, which sells a subscription for file storage and software, or Salesforce, Zoho, Pipedrive, and Freshdesk that sell subscriptions for CRM software, or Mixpanel that sells analytics software, or Slack and Trello that sell subscriptions for communication and collaboration software. These companies sell software itself, so these are SaaS companies. How about Accenture and IBM? As explained earlier, these companies primarily sell software consulting and not software products, so they are not SaaS. And how about Coursera and Byju's? They sell lessons and courses, not software, so not SaaS. Also, as discussed earlier, AWS sells computing infrastructure. They have hundreds of IaaS and PaaS offerings, but very few SaaS products like AWS Transcribe and AWS Extract. So AWS is mostly not SaaS. Finally, Tally and TurboTax Desktop are mostly not cloud-based. So, are they SaaS? These companies earlier operated a CD in a box model for selling accounting and tax software products upfront. This was not SaaS. But now, these companies mostly sell subscriptions for their software, so they are SaaS, even if the software is not always hosted on cloud servers. Summarizing our discussion, only the companies in the left-hand column are SaaS. You may ask, what is the big deal? Why should we be so precise about this label? Why should we not also label some of the companies in the right-hand column as SaaS? Well, because in the rest of this course, I will describe important characteristics of the SaaS game. We will discuss nuanced concepts like what makes SaaS defensible. And if we don't agree on the precise meaning of this label, SaaS, then much of our following discussion will become meaningless. For example, if you apply our SaaS frameworks to Accenture or IBM, you may end up with conclusions that are not correct. Finally, some students observe that Dropbox or Gmail are free for most consumers, so they are not really selling anything. Should they still be categorized as SaaS? Let me answer this question with another question. If Unilever or P&G were to distribute a few free sachets of shampoos for you to try out, would that change the nature of these companies? Should they then stop being categorized as CPG companies? Another misconception some students have is about marketplaces like Uber, Airbnb, and Amazon. These companies sometimes describe themselves as platforms. So shouldn't they be categorized as platform as a service or PaaS? Well, no. As we discussed, PaaS is a business model where computing infrastructure is rented out to software developers to host their applications and data. Uber, Airbnb, and Amazon are not PaaS. They are marketplaces or internet aggregators. The next course in this specialization discusses the internet aggregation game in greater detail. Coming back to the first question I asked in this video, is SaaS mostly B2B or is it mostly B2C? I will answer this in the next video.
Hey there, I'm KJ Saxena, founder of Relentless VC. The video you just watched is part of the Venture Capital and Entrepreneurship Specialization, which is available absolutely for free on relentless.ventures. Go check it out. If you're a tech startup founder and want to raise money from us, you should apply on our website. Lastly, if you like this video, do subscribe and share it with your friends.